Bag alert, bag alert, bag alert, bag alert, folks. That's right. We got a loaded episode. We got a really loaded episode, okay? I'm talking about we're going to go in multiple different directions, but just know, buckle in because guess what? This is going to be a long drive, okay? Pete Werner gets paid. Brandon Aiyuk drama continues. Who has the upper hand in these trade talks? Does the trade make the Steelers a playoff contender if it happens, as well as did the Niners wait a little bit too long to trade Brandon Aiyuk? Don't you think? I don't know. We'll talk about that. As well as how can the Niners stay competitive if they do lose Brandon Aiyuk? And the most important topic of it all, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You are six-time champions play today in about a few hours. So guess what? We got a lot to talk about, okay? Because guess what? I want to watch the Steelers play, okay? So guess what? You know what we always got to do? We got to lock in. But before we do all that, okay? I'm still Bragadamus. I'm still your GM, okay? I am all these things and more. But most importantly, I am your host, Kale. Let's lock in. All right, folks, so let's just get right into the news, okay? This is episode 22. We are only 8 episodes away from hitting the 30th mark, the 30th episode of the podcast. We're going to keep this thing going, okay? We'll talk about that, when we get to that huge milestone, okay? But we got to get into these bagglers, okay? Because we got a lot we got to talk about with this episode, okay? Because every time I do it, it always comes to pass. Last week, I think we had Tua and Jordan Love got paid the same day. Let's see what happens this week. Okay. So, Pete Werner, linebacker for the New Orleans Saints, inked a 3-year, $22.5 million deal to stay with the Saints. Okay, he gets a $5.5 million signing bonus, $17.4 million in total guarantees, $11.1 in guarantees at signing, and he'll be making $7.5 million a year according to who? Spot Rack. Okay, shout out to them. Now, when you look at his stats, right, for the 2023 season, all he has is 1 interception, 1 pass deflection, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 quarterback hit, according to who? Pro Football Reference. Now, when you look at it, this was more of a role player type of extension. It wasn't necessarily something that, he's going to reset the market or, do anything crazy like that. Like, no, this is a routine, extension just to make sure that they lock up a player that, contributes, to his respective side of the ball. And, making sure that things, stay the way that they are, which, I mean, honestly, it's a pretty good deal. You're making $7.5 million, this year. So, I mean, that's actually relatively pretty good. It is. And, you're still on somewhat of a pretty good defense. I'm not saying it's an elite defense, but it's a pretty good defense. They can give you some problems on a good day. So, I guess that's really it. I don't think there's not a whole lot really to talk about it, but congratulations to him. Now, going into the meat and potatoes of this episode, okay? Brandon Aiyuk. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. You're probably pounding at your table right now. You're probably screaming to the top of your lungs. You're probably saying, why are we still talking about Brandon Aiyuk in August? Well, guess what? We got more things we're going to talk about, okay? We do. I know. I want it to end just like how you do. I do. I really do. Is it going to end? I hope so. I really do, because this is starting to get old. And it's gotten to the point where it's just like, yo, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. Okay? that's where we are at this point with this whole conundrum that is this trade. Okay, so these are just a few notes that I just had to, take down with this entire situation. Okay, so well, no, not apparently, but according to Diana Rossini, right? She tweeted out, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, but she basically said, the 49ers are looking for a positional player in return, mainly a receiver, but are open to other positions, right? Okay, cool. Now, Adam Schefter reported, right, that the Patriots, when they were in it, to try to get Brandon Aiyuk, the Patriots were willing to make Brandon Aiyuk a top 5 highest paid receiver, right? But Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post Gazette, that try saying that 5 times, right? Tweeted out that the way that I did it is to prove a point, right? All 3 of those people can go to for football information. Okay, they have their hand on what's going on behind closed doors. Okay, they're not this random entity that you don't know nothing about, and they don't have anything credible, and they don't they're not well respected within their own industry and whatnot. No, these are people who are credible resources that you can take whatever that they are saying to the bank. Now, have insiders got it wrong? Yes, of course. Things happen, right? But what I'm trying to get to, and I said this in the previous episode, is we have to be careful on what we put out, especially with a situation like this, right? Because I don't, and this is not directly for anybody, but if you feel like it is for you, well, then it is for you. At this point, if you do not have credible information about what's going on with this situation or any situation, you should not be putting anything out, because there was a particular person who will remain anonymous, who basically was saying, for a minute, there were a lot of Steelers fans that were like, "Oh my God, it's done, it's done, it's done, it's done, it's done, it's done, it's done," and it's like, no, it's not. It's not done until you see a press conference for Brandon Aiyuk and he is holding another team's jersey that he was traded to. And unless they take that picture, this thing is still going. Okay, it is still going. Now, can I say, when and where it's going to end? No, I can't, because I don't have any credible information to report on that. I have to go off of the resources that I know and the people that I trust that are, that are credible with whatever information that they put out. That's what I have to go with, right? And so the reason why I'm saying all this is, you may have, accounts like CTE, ESPN, you may have people like Ricky with the picture of the dog with the hat on it. You may have this person who says, I'm a part of, NFL draft blood. I mean, not bloods. NFL draft buzz, not bloods. That's funny. That's a funny one. That's a funny joke. But you may have different people who say that they're credible, who they may have this blue check mark to try to validate with whatever they're saying, but the fact of the matter is they don't know anything what they're talking about. Okay. And this is something that I wanna peep game to you guys. A lot of the insiders have been quiet on this. Because why? This is still a very fluid situation. Things are still ongoing, and there's nothing really to report on. There's not. If the credible insiders are not saying anything, right? What makes you think that you can put out something and say, "Oh yeah, I have sources that say this, this, and this"? No, 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 no. That's not what you do. Because guess what? They'll see a fan. A fan will see that tweet and they will lose their mind, right? And so I feel like it is your responsibility to make sure that whatever you put out that you think is credible, make sure that it is credible. Because if it's not credible, you're going to have someone like me who's going to get on his podcast, regardless if it's, well known or not well known, but this will be well known very soon. Mark my words. It still does not give you the right to put out inaccurate information. It doesn't. Better yet, it puts more pressure on you to make sure that whatever information that you are putting out is credible, it's resourceful, and it's true. Because if you don't, your credibility, whatever little credibility that you have, is gone. And it's hard to get it back, right? It really is. It's like the boy who cried wolf. You can keep on saying that you saw the wolf and nobody ever saw it. But the one time that you do see the wolf, guess what? No one's going to believe you, because why? You kept on lying all those other previous times, right? So I just had to put that out there. Now, when we look at it with this situation, right? Brandon Aiyuk, again, things have just gotten to a point where it's just really messy. It really is. It's messy on just both sides. There was a report, probably like in the earlier part of the week, that was basically saying that, the Steelers really weren't in it, and then it was just between the Patriots and the Browns. And then next thing Schefter puts out a tweet basically saying that, the Steelers are back in it, and that, their conversations are fluid, and the Patriots back out of it. And it's like, okay, you have a lot going on, but at the same time, how is this going to go? Because it can go any way. It really can. Because again, the ball is in Brandon Aiyuk's court. It's not in the 49ers court. It's in Brandon Aiyuk's court, because he gets to dictate where he wants to go. That's just what it is. Because the Patriots, and like I just said, the Patriots were willing to meet his financial demands. They were willing to do that. But Brandon Aiyuk didn't want to go there. And Brandon Aiyuk has basically said, hey, I want to go to Pittsburgh. That's what he's done. And so the question is, what is it going to take to put the bow on this present? That is the question I think everybody wants to know. Because whether we realize it or not, the draft stock for Brandon Aiyuk, as the days go by, is going to continue to dwindle, right? Because remember, leading up to the draft, if I'm not mistaken, and I can be wrong, but leading up to the draft, the Jaguars were trying to get Brandon Aiyuk, and I think they were willing to give up their first round pick and a player, another receiver, right? And the 49ers said no. So it makes you beg the question of, what the hell is it going to take for them, for this trade to just go down? What's it going to take? Now I've heard, and I've seen various different things that the 49ers are going to try to flip whatever picks that the Steelers or whoever trade for him, and try to get a receiver. I've seen they might try to do a 3-way trade. I don't know. I really don't know. I will say this: it's a little bit harder to do a 3-way trade in the NFL than it is in the NBA, for instance, right? Because in the NBA, draft picks isn't as high as it is in the NFL, right? When we get to start talking about first round picks, oh my God, GMs, they get buttoned up and everything. They borderline want to fight you, right? And when you look at the NBA, they'll throw out first round picks and this pick and that pick and this pick and that pick, and the next 3 years of first round picks or whatever, just for one player, and won't think twice about it. They've done that before. A lot of the major trades that we have seen, throughout the years, it involved a boatload of picks, and guess what? They just don't care about it. That value for them isn't as high as it is for the NFL, right? And so, it's a situation where, as the days go by, who is really going to win this situation? Because as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, the Steelers are like the primary team that is like really content on trying to get Brandon Aiyuk. And we all have seen what Omar Khan has done, in the past when it comes to these trades. He's been a beast with it, okay? And he's not showing his hand. And so what you're seeing is a matchup between GMs of who is going to blink first. This is a game of GM chicken. That's what it is at this point. Because it's either the 49ers aren't satisfied with it, or this person is satisfied with it, or it's not working for this person, or it's not working for that side, or whatever the case may be, right? And and I'll continue to say this as the days go by. The Steelers are going to win that trade because guess what? Brandon Aiyuk's value is going to go down because why? You still have to pay him top dollar money. You still have to pay him $30+ million, right? That's what you're going to have to pay him. That's what he said that he wanted, right? And so, it went from a first round pick, in the early part of the year leading up to the draft. But now at this point, you could probably get Brandon Aiyuk for maybe a second or third round pick. And maybe, you could probably throw in a player just to sweeten things up if you really wanted to. That's what it is at this point. Because this is what I'll say. I'm trying to find the words to say. The value of a player that does not get traded will continue to go down the more time passes that he is not traded, right? And whether we want to admit it or not, the 49ers are trying to turn water in. Well, they're not trying to. This is such a tricky situation. This is such a tricky way to say it, but the 49ers are trying to turn mud into gold bricks. That's what they're trying to do, right? And am I saying that they can do it? No, but it's just a weird situation. It's just weird. It's drawn out. I think people are just over it. I think people are just tired of hearing about it. I think people are tired of the fake lies and the fake rumors and the fake sources, and I think they just want things to just be done so we can just move on to the preseason games, the cut downs, and then the start of the regular season. I think that's where everybody is at this point. Okay, now the real question is, if the Steelers do get Brandon Aiyuk, does that make them a playoff contender? Now, in my eyes, I don't know. I really don't know. And the only reason why I say that is because, the Steelers have a very tough schedule. They do. They have a very tough schedule, right? And the only way that they could really, position themselves to be high within the playoffs and potentially, compete to try to win the division is they gotta come out of the season guns blazing, right? It's not go on a two game losing streak or a 3-game losing streak or whatever the case may be. They have to come out of this thing guns blazing, right? And if they do not come out of this thing guns blazing, that second half of the season, it's going to be a killer. It's going to be a crusher. I'm going to read off exactly the second half of the season. I'm going to just show you not show you, but I'm going to tell you the matchups, right? Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. That is a gauntlet. That is a gauntlet of matchups that you're going to have to go up against, that you are going to have to win. Okay? It's not like how it was in the previous seasons where you go up against some of your divisional rivals in the early parts of the season. No, you're going up against them where every single game matters, where you have to win them in order to not only get into the playoffs, but to have a higher seed in the playoffs to potentially get to having, the number one seed. Well, not the number one seed, but a high seed enough to where you could probably get a first round bye. That's what it is, right? And so, the Steelers right now, from a roster standpoint, and I'm just going to be completely honest here, and I don't really care, honestly. They're in a position where their defense is a playoff contender, but their offense, I feel like, is still. I don't know. I can't. You know what? I got it. It just came. The light bulb just came on. The Steelers' chances of the playoffs rides on how well and what version of Russell Wilson are they going to get, right? Because if you get the version of Russell Wilson last year, then there's a chance. There's a chance. I'm not saying it's a high chance, not saying it's a low chance, not saying it's in the middle chance, but I'm saying that there is a chance that they could possibly, make a playoff run, right? But if you're getting a Russell Wilson that is showing, that he has declined significantly, then you're going to have a problem. Because Justin Fields, on the other hand, he has the potential, right? But his mechanics and his decisiveness and all those different type of things, they aren't up to par to where they should be. And so, you're going to need somewhat of a veteran quarterback, that can get you a win from some of those games. That's what you're going to need. Okay? This isn't, just rainbows and unicorns. Like, no, this is going to be a gauntlet. And this is, knock on wood, you better hope that nobody suffers a significant injury. So I say all that to say this. If the Steelers do get Brandon Aiyuk, it doesn't necessarily make them a playoff contender, but I will say this: that's 2 or 3 extra games that they could probably win. That's 2 or 3 more W's that they could definitely get. That definitely, puts the odds in their favor to win certain matchups. It does. But to flat out say that, oh yeah, this makes them a Super Bowl team, or oh, this makes them a playoff caliber team. No, I'm not going to say that. I still feel like the Steelers are probably maybe 1 or 2 more years away from entering their Super Bowl window. I truly believe that. The defense is the defense, right? It's about investing into the offense, right? Because, and I'll continue to beat on this drum. And I know there's Steelers fans out there that say, you're not a real Steelers fan. I'm a real Steelers fan. I am a logical thinking Steelers fan. That's the difference, right? Because, again, we're going after someone who is looking for $30 plus million a year, while we won't even know who the quarterback is going to be next year, right? Because we have 2 quarterbacks on our roster right now that are on 1-year deals, essentially. And so there's going to be a lot of turnover come this off season, right? You're going to have to figure out, are you going to pay Russell Wilson? Are you going to pay Justin Fields? Are you going to go after Dak Prescott? Are you going to go after somebody in the draft, even though me personally would not do that? What are you going to do, right? Not to mention, you have to figure out, are you going to pay Najee Harris? Are you going to pay Pat Freiermuth? Are you going to figure out what you're going to do with, with other different positions and whatnot? There's a lot of question marks that will not be answered, already, right? And so investing a lot of resources into a receiver when you don't have a quarterback under contract next year is just ludicrous. It is. It's ludicrous to me. So, and I've been on the hill that's been saying it. What is the point in going after Brandon Aiyuk? I know I went on a tangent, but I just had to get this off my chest. What is the point in going after Brandon Aiyuk, right? It's not like we have, George Pickens is out for the rest of the season, knock on wood, or anything like that, right? If that was the case, then, you have to be a little bit more aggressive to try to seal the deal and, get Brandon Aiyuk, right? But if we are a run-heavy team and we have a run-heavy offensive coordinator, then why would we want to go after Brandon Aiyuk? I'll let you think about that once you're done listening to this episode. But I say all that to say this. The Steelers have a lot of question marks that they have to figure out. And, them just making this one move doesn't necessarily seal or set them in a place where they are a playoff contender or they are a Super Bowl contender or they can beat this team, beat that team, or whatever the case may be. I that's just me. Okay, I just call it the way that I see it. Now, I think another question that does need to be asked is, did the Niners take too long to trade Brandon Aiyuk? Because let's be real here. There were teams that were inquiring about Brandon Aiyuk before the draft. So what exactly is this problem that we are in right now, right? Because you knew that this was going to be a situation. You knew that he was going to be in a contract year with Justin Jefferson and CD Lamb and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Okay? You knew that. So if you knew that, then why in the world didn't you guys try to take care of it the previous years before? Why didn't you do that? Because now you're in a situation where, guess what? Not only is he disgruntled with you, he doesn't even want to play with you. That's the situation that you're in right now. And, you know, from what I've heard, and I don't know if this is credible or not, but from what I've heard, they haven't even had contract negotiations since May of this year. It's August. Okay? Not counting May, that's what? June, July, that's 3 months. 3 months that you guys have not had a conversation about contracts. You should have been traded him by now. What is the point in holding on to a player that you have not had contract talks with since May? What is the point in holding on to a player when you have multiple teams who are willing to not only meet your demands, but at almost at times surpass your demands? What is the point? I don't care that you prioritize this player. I don't care that you like this player. I don't care that he plays, you know, this X role on your team. If a team wants him, and if you're not willing to pay him, let him go. Let him go. In the Disney movie, let it go, let it go. Let him go, man. Just let him go. You're taking too long. By now, he should be, you know, practicing and learning a new playbook and building chemistry with his new quarterback or whatever the case may be. That's just what it is. Okay? This is for all the GMs out there, for all the people out there who cover football. Let this be a lesson that, you know, you cannot, Jesus, there's so much I have to say about this about this topic. When you see that there's a situation like this that is looming over the horizon, nip it in the bud immediately. Don't wait till it grows. Because now they're in the situation where now they're desperate. Kyle Shanahan is hating this. He's hating this. He cannot stand this. So guess what? The longer that this draws out, the more this is going to irritate Kyle Shanahan even more. People don't even realize that. Not to mention, you have Christian McCaffrey that is dealing with an injury. You have Ricky Pearsall that's dealing with an injury. You have players on the offense that are dealing with multiple injuries. And guess what? It would be great to have Brandon Aiyuk in camp practicing. But guess what? You guys don't want to pay him. Nor do you guys want to trade. So again, what exactly is going on at this point? That is the question. Because it's not like the 49ers are in a situation where, oh, we're skill deprived. We don't have as much on the offense, and what are we gonna do? Oh, woe is me, woe is me. It's not what it is. It's not. You still have George Kittle. You still have Christian McCaffrey. You still have Jawan Jennings. You just got Ricky Pearsall, right? You just signed Robbie Anderson yesterday. Juju just got released by the Patriots today. So you got options, right? Shoot. Go after one of those receivers with the Texans. They got a whole bunch of receivers for no reason, right? Do that. Do that. Everybody will want to play for the 49ers because why? They're a Super Bowl team. That means that, honestly, the only team that you have to go up against that will probably give you problems is who? The Eagles and the Lions. That's it. Otherwise, guess what? You are literally skipping into the Super Bowl. Skipping. Literally. So again, what is the holdup, John Lynch? What is the holdup, Kyle Shanahan? What is the holdup? Because the longer that this goes out, the more this makes you guys look like fools. And when you guys get fleeced, because it is going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen by the con artists. No. It is going to happen. But the longer that this thing draws out, the worse it's going to look on you guys. Because guess what? There's teams that are looking for receivers, but I don't even think they're going to be willing to go into this fight. I just don't believe it personally. But I could be wrong personally. So again, sucks to be them. It sucks to be 49ers. Whew. Now, on to bigger and better things that we actually care about. Because why? We have football tonight, but not just any type of football, okay? Not just any type of team. You know who I'm talking about. Now, for the people that have their headphones in, you might want to turn it down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just give me your hands up right now, because guess who plays tonight? Your six-time Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers play tonight. They go up against the Texans in Pittsburgh. We have to talk about it. These are just a few things that I just decided to write down just to cover, okay? So the things that I'm looking out for to start things off is the offensive line, right? I want to see how things are going to roll out. Now, I know for sure they're probably going to, aside from Isaac Seumalo, probably everybody else is going to play on that offensive line. But for starters, I really want to see how things are going to go with both Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu. Okay, I really want to see that, because, especially for Troy Fautanu, because I'm really interested to see if he really is that good, like what people have been saying, as a right tackle. Okay, I really want to see that. I really want to see, is Broderick Jones more comfortable on the left than he is on the right, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. I really want to see that, because let's be real here, folks. The Steelers invested 2 first-round picks in the both of them in back-to-back drafts. Okay, this thing has to work. It has to work. It has to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This has to work at this point. Okay. As well as, maybe I don't know if Mason McCormick is going to play, or Zach Frazier, or Nate Herbig, but I just want to see what the offensive line looks like so far with this new scheme and whatnot. I want to see, are they ready? Do they have chemistry? I want to see all those different types of things. Okay. Now for the next thing, Justin Fields. Now you're probably thinking, well, Justin Fields can run and do it all. No, I want to see his mechanics. I want to see has his mechanics improved. I want to see is his decision making improved. I want to see has his play calling improved. I want to see all the various aspects of what is needed for an elite quarterback. I want to see has that improved, because we have seen bits and pieces of it, right? We've seen bits and pieces of it, but we have not seen it consistently. That's the part where we're trying to get at right now. We want to see more consistency with his play calling, with his execution, with his decision making, all those different types of things, his footwork, all of that. We want to see more of that consistently, because we live in a time now where if your quarterback is not elite, you are not going to go anywhere. You are not going to be successful. Okay, that's just where it is. And I truly believe that the Steelers are going to invest into Justin Fields long term. And I think, them putting him into, this preseason game is definitely going to show, is that the right decision? Is that the wrong decision moving forward? Okay. Receivers, specifically for the Steelers. I want to see exactly how these receivers look. Okay. Because depending on how these receivers look, I think will have a direct effect on the Brandon Aiyuk trade. I think if they're just horrible, or if somebody is seriously hurt and whatnot, I think that deal gets done a lot quicker than what it is. I truly believe that. I just want to. I mean, George Pickens is George Pickens. That's that's an outlier. But I want to see exactly, has his route running gotten better. I want to see just his body control. I want to be able to see, has he become a better receiver than he was last year? That is the number one thing that I emphasize the most. Have you become a better player in your position than what you were previously? Because if you're still doing the same things that you did last year, then to me, you haven't done anything, right? And for George Pickens, if he really wants to stick out and if he really wants to be an elite receiver, you got to work on your route running, bro. Got to work on it. Because if you cannot create separation at the line of scrimmage, what are you good for? Now, granted, I mean, you are a bigger receiver and whatnot. That's cool and all. But if you get that crazy footwork in, whew, man, oh man, that's a problem right there. Okay. Now, moving forward, the Texans offense, okay? I want to see exactly how does this offense look? How is it going to flow, especially with, their not accusations. Their with the moves that they made in the offseason to get Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. I want to see exactly how things are going to mesh because that's a very crowded receiver room, and I would not be surprised if somebody gets traded fairly quickly. I would not be surprised because they have Nico Collins, Pharaoh Brown, Tank Dell, now Stephon Diggs. They got the receiver from the Rams as well. And I think they also have Robert Woods. So if I'm not mistaken, they have 6 receivers. 6 of them. So it's like, it's a crowded room, and you already know Stephon Diggs is going to get his. Tank Dell is going to get his. Nico Collins is going to get his, right? It's just a matter of where everybody else fits in on this puzzle. And the same thing for the defense as well. I definitely want to see exactly how does the pass rush look, how does the defensive line look, and not to mention how does their secondary look? Because and I know, people are probably saying, well, you're just throwing a bunch of ifs around. No, because on paper, the Texans should be a top 10 roster, right? They got Danielle Hunter, they got Will Anderson. Right, they got Derek Stingley Jr. They have C.J. Henderson on the defense, right? Then on the offense, Stephon Diggs, C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon. I think they still have Bolton Schultz, if I'm not mistaken. Tank Dell, Nico Collins. That is a stacked roster. That's a really good roster. That is a team right there that is going to give other teams problems because why? They're young, they're hungry, and they are trying to prove something, okay? C.J. Stroud is going to go on a tear. You heard it here first on the 22nd episode called Source Off on the Football Junkies podcast. You heard it here first, okay? Another thing that definitely has caught my attention is the Steelers pass rush. And I can sort of get into it now because this is somewhat of breaking news. Marcus Golden has retired. Yeah. Marcus Golden has officially retired from the NFL. So now this somewhat puts a hole for the 4th position for outside linebacker, for a pass rusher. So it's a matter of exactly what, how things are going to roll out because, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, that's a given. Okay. They're going to do their thing. They're going to be the game wreckers, the maulers that they need to be, right? But it's a matter of what's going to happen when you have Nick Herbig and whoever else. Because now this could, speed things up for them to try to maybe go after another pass rusher or whatever the case may be at this point. Because they need it. Because at some point, TJ Watt's going to need a break. Alex Highsmith is going to need a break. Somebody else is going to have to come in, right? You got to keep that thing going. You have to. Not to mention, exactly, what's going to happen with Dean Lowry and Isaiah Loudermilk and, DeMarvin Leal, especially DeMarvin Leal. Because from what I've heard is he has had a really good training camp so far. And so I want to see, is that going to transition over to the preseason games? Because let's be real here. He is, on the outside looking in, okay? He is trying to get a roster spot. His roster spot is not guaranteed at this point. So the pressure is on him to show up and show out and to prove why he deserves to be on this roster. Because if he doesn't, he's going to get cut. He's going to get cut. Now, granted, I understand that the Steelers somewhat hindered his progress because he coming out of college, he was a little bit of a tweener. He, really didn't have, experience in just one specific, position. But at the same time, when you kept on moving him around, outside linebacker, D-line, end and this, that, and the other, that it messes things up. It does. So definitely want to see exactly how is that going to go. And then, finally, Steelers secondary. Me personally, aside from Joey Porter Jr., I do have question marks. Well, and Dante Jackson. Well, no. I'll say that. I'll say that for in the coming moment. I do have a lot of questions about the secondary. I do. I definitely do because Joey Porter Jr. is the light for the cornerback room. I just want to see exactly how things are going to go with everybody else because Beanie Bishop, from what I've heard, he has been doing his thing, has been making plays. He's been consistent, since I think rookie minicamp, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to see how everything else is going to go because after Joey Porter Jr., you have Dante Jackson, but what version of Dante Jackson are you going to get? Is there going to be somewhat of a fall off or not? Me personally, I don't think so. I think he's going to be, fairly good. I do believe that. And how things are going to go with Cam Sutton, going to be suspended for 8 games. That's the real question because, you got to figure out what's with Darius Rush, what's with Corey Trice and company. You have to figure out all those different type of things because let's be real here, folks. There's a lot of good corners that are still available in free agency. I keep on saying it. Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, Adoree Jackson. Who else? There's a lot of corners. I'll just say that. There's a lot of corners that are available. And, if you need to make a move, okay, for any of those type of corners, especially someone like a Gilly. If you get a Gilly, that does a lot. You're talking about Gilly is what Patrick Peterson was supposed to be for the Steelers, right? Someone that is experienced, that has played, at the highest peak, who, has done a lot, but, is ready to pass it on to the next generation. That's what he is, okay? And so, I say all that to say this. There's going to be a lot of questions. I do have a lot of questions leading into this game. Hopefully they get answered once the game is over. Maybe I'll do something, once the game is over or not. I don't know. But, just stay tuned. But as always, if you guys like what you guys are listening to, please like, share, subscribe, send it to somebody if you don't mind. Leave a 5-star review on wherever you listen to the Football Junkies podcast. Shout out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the places that we are able to give our football junkies their daily fix. Okay, cool. Now, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at football_junkies pod. Again, that is football_junkies pod. Junkies pod is not spaced. It is one word together. Okay. Also, what else? What else am I know there's something that I'm forgetting. Please, for the YouTube people, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. What you think about the episode? Am I right? Am I wrong? What are your thoughts exactly? I wanna have a healthy, not argument, but a healthy conversation about certain things. Okay, let me know, please inform me. And please let me know exactly what you guys want to talk about. Okay, what team did you guys want me to cover more? Because honestly, I'm tired of talking about Brandon Aiyuk. I really am. Until the trade happens, I might just go on a Brandon Aiyuk strike. I might just do that, honestly. As always, I hope I gave you guys the fix that you guys need. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for being with me on this journey. Again, we are 8 episodes away. 8 episodes away from 30 episodes, right? Do you not know that a large majority of podcasts do not even make it to the 20th episode? We are about to be 22 episodes in. 22 episodes in. That deserves a round of applause, not only for me, because I definitely put in a lot of work for this. I definitely pushed through a lot of things to get to this point, but for y'all for supporting me and helping me to get to this point and continuing to help me to give you guys the fix that you guys need. So as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please be safe out there. To all the people that may be impacted by the storm, my thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Hopefully you guys are able to rebuild and and be stronger. As always, I love you guys. Peace. I'm out.